Mtu ako farm hataki kujua.
Nairobi solid.
Okay, thank you so much, members of the fourth estate. I stand with Team Ground in denouncing the activities of the president and how he's tried to address the challenges that were raised by the Generation Z and the millennials and generally the people of Kenya. I don't understand why he got his wisdom from by bringing us a political solution to an economic problem and a social and injustice problem. The Gen Zs were not on the streets to have a new cabinet or a new set of cabinet CSS. The Gen Zs put out their issues clearly, but he failed by a mile, he missed by a mile by what he provided as a solution. We want to tell him, as the young people of this country, as a young leader, I'm a leader who came to parliament to bring change to this country. I didn't come to be bribed or to get money or to solicit money from this government. I came so that we can have a future for the young people of this nation, for this country to have systems that will work, for this country to address the issues of corruption that's so rampant in this government, for this country to have a social justice system that will work. You can see by his activities the neglect that he had on the Article 37 of the Constitution, the brutality and excessive use of force on protesters. Yet we say we have a constitution that we respect, that clearly outlines Article 37 as the guiding principle on how people should address the government, how people should protest against, how the people should talk to the government. But we saw what happened. It really defeats me to imagine that this country we've lost value for life. We are talking about more than 50 people who have been killed, who lost their lives, and we are treating this casually, like nothing happened. If you go to the DCI, we went there with Loyalty Ndomolo, we had very scant information on the issues of abductions, or the issue of these people who have been killed, and these are lives that have been lost by a government that's purposed to protect the lives of its people. We've seen a lot of property that was lost. Some houses were burnt even in town, but the government has not addressed that. They have swept that under the carpet, and they expect us to just let them be and this to go on. We cannot agree, and we cannot allow the government to behave like that, because if it behaves like this, it is going to kill our future and our children. The Gen Zs have come out clearly and they have outlined their problems. We are asking the government of the day, come out and tell us what measures are you putting in place to address the issue of unemployment. We are having like 1 million students who are going to clear form for this year. Every year we are having a very high turnover of Gen Zs. What measures have you put in place to address their issue? The current cabinet that you announced, we don't make anything of it. We don't see if they are able to come up with solutions for the challenges of this nation. So sisi tunamwambia Bwana Rais, tafadhali sikiza watu, calm down, look for new advisors. Whatever you are doing is far away from what the people are asking for. Kindly try and calm down and listen to this youth. These are the future of this nation, and the best thing is, this is a generational thing. One day it will come to happen. The hopes of the people of this nation, lazima siku moja watu watakuja wapatiwe heshima, and I don't know where history will judge you. Labda utafukuzwa ama utapelekwa jela kwa sababu ya hii makosa unafanya. Tafadhali sikiza watu and deal with real issues that these people have raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody with questions? We will take about maybe 3 or so, or maybe we can take 4 so that each can respond to a question. Let's start with the lady. You have to speak louder.
Thank you so much. My name is Maximila Okila. I have 2 questions. One concerning the ultimatum that the agency have given us through the platform on 27th of August, deciding on a petition to solve the parliament and to just all the parliamentary house. I think this is the second time now that we are meeting the parliament. Will you be part of that petition? And also the same day will also be occupying this parliament. Will you be part of the same that petition of the then secondly, from the issue of the citizen state,
Okay. Next question. I'm sure you're noting that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Wafula.
Wafula.
Fasula.
Wafula. Then we'll go to you. Eric.
Since the road-based government that was formed has killed the magnitude and the vigor of the protest, known as young parliamentarians, what will come in place as the alternative to tackle or to push harder the government in the demands?
Okay, thank you, Eric. The one in glasses.
Thank you. Yeah. Edwin from Daily Monitor. I have two questions. It's clear that you obviously do not seem to stand with the cabinet secretaries, some of whom are in parties that like ODM, which are, as like Babu was in support of. So your message to these cabinet secretaries, do you support them joining administration, and what remedy do you think? You've made it clear that you don't think of any help to this administration. So what advice do you give them if at all they have joined a sinking ship? And the second question is pointing out something to do with the Wanjigi story that was mentioned. Yeah, what's your take as team ground that an administration can go after the family of people who actually point fingers at what should be done better as a party leaders?
Okay.
What's your take?
I guess those are how many? 4?
Yes.
4? Can we do the 4 or you have a pressing one? Okay.
Given the unity deal between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, are you worried this super majority issue, especially in Parliament, is going to stifle voices like you? For example, we have had the President say some sections of the finance bill will be returned to the House. What do you think about that? Will you be supportive?
Very well.
So,
How do you want us to
So,
go about it? I can answer that one of Parliament.
okay. So you
Answer
can.
the one for cabinet ministers.
Parliament.
Okay, good.
TSS. Parliament.
I'll talk about
They're killing the vegan.
the vigor. Okay. So I can. Okay, fine. Just start
Okay.
then. Just start.
Ningelipenda kusema kwamba mtu yeyote ambaye alijoin government, hata kama alikuwa ODM na akajoin huko, although article 232 inakubalia president kuchagua mtu yeyote kufanya naye kazi, hatutawazubaa tu kuangalia wana west wa Kenya just because walitoka upande wa huku kwetu. So waende huko wakijua kwamba walienda kufanyia wananchi kazi, na kama hatutaona anything wanafanya pia tena watoke tu. Cha pili, president wetu ni kama ndio referee wa elected leaders wa kichapana. Huko Kisii mliona kitu ilitendeka. Yeye ameenda pale, watu wanabu huyu anabu huyu, ako pale ako kama referee. So hao wenye wameenda huko kama CS kusaidia, waone hiyo weakness na wamsaidie kufanya kazi. So we will not relent, we will not smile with anyone who has joined the government and is going to joke again and waste Kenyans' lives.
Thank you. You'll answer which one?
Yeah.
Okay. broad-based.
On that issue that you raised about the broad-based arrangement that has maybe stifled the vigor of this protest and what, we like to urge Kenyans, or the Gen Zs, the millennials, let us not relent in this fight. Let us make sure we push this fight on, because there's no solution that has been offered as yet. So as young leaders, we are going to make sure we engage the public and point out all the evils that are happening in some of these bills that are brought in Parliament, these motions, what we think Kenyans should not support. But we're also thankful that the Kenyan people now are taken back the power in their own hands. We passed the finance bill by the people's power, lest to rejection in totality by the president. So these are some of the avenues or other approaches that we're going to give more information to the public and seek their support in pushing for the agenda. As a young parliament, as a young leaders, we need to get this information out there to the people so that they can support us. Even if they have a majority in parliament, we saw the majority is now on the ground, on the streets, and that is the approach that we are going to use. Thank you.
I think Mheshimiwa Amo has addressed that very well. If I want to talk about the unity of ODM and Kenya Kwanza and having a super majority, and in combination with with the question that was asked by Eric on the broad-based government that has killed the vigor of the demonstrations. I want to tell you that in Parliament there was already a super majority that passed the finance bill. But that did not prevent the Gen Zs. It did not prevent Ruto from coming out and rejecting after pressure had been pressed on him by the people. The constitution is clear that power vests with the people. The sovereignty is with the people. The people are supreme. That supermajority in parliament is not a supermajority. It is an imaginary supermajority that is intended to achieve some selfish gains or ambitions. And therefore, one person with God is the majority. But now here we have a few people in parliament, members of parliament, team ground, together with the Gen Zs, with the millennials, with other Kenyans. That is even more than a super majority, and that is what we need. We don't need any other super majority in parliament. And number two, our voices will always be heard in parliament, irrespective of our numbers. Why? Because sometimes it's not about winning the war, but it is about being at the battlefield, registering your presence in the battlefield. Our presence will always be registered irrespective of our numbers. And that is the time that you will know that in case those numbers will not be favoring the interest of Kenyans in parliament, we will go back on the ground. Gen Zs can always come out together with millennials and still make it right. That supermajority, if you saw the way they were running under the tunnel, then you would have known that there was no majority there. There was the minority. So the next question is about Jimmy Wanjigi. Of course, you talked about Ruto invading Jimmy Wanjigi's privacy. I want to just quote Ruto when he used to say, to paraphrase, he used to ask the former president Uhuru Kenyatta to spare his family, not to kill his children, to spare his children and his family. What is he doing? He's now gone below the belt. He's now targeting people's families. And we want to tell you, you also have families, my friend. Good. Just the same way Moi is now a former president. Kenyatta is a former president. Moi is a former president. Kibaki is a former president. Uhuru is a former president. You are going to be a former president. These children of yours are going nowhere. So do not intimidate people's children. Because when your time reaches, there are those people who will hold the yam and the knife and will give you your share, your fair share. So don't intimidate us. Everybody is going to die. Nobody dies prematurely. So you can't intimidate us with death. Our children already know that we are political leaders. It's not news. Embarrassment is our other name. So don't think that we can be embarrassed by these petty issues. We are going to fight for our people. So I'll leave it at that, then leave it to Mheshimiwa. And lastly, the MPs that you are calling the supermajority in parliament, I want to tell you that these MPs already know that the ship is sinking. The ship that Ruto is the captain is already sinking, and they're already taking. Now, we know that you will be clutching very soon on imaginary straws, and you will sink with that ship. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like now the questions have been answered.
The number one for the petition.
There's
to
one.
dissolve Parliament.
Oh, there's one for the petition to dissolve parliament. And that is a proposal, you said, by the Gen Z? Very well. First of all, I want to thank the young people of Kenya. One day, one time, we were also very young. And we did what we did to have this country the way it is today. Some of us actively engaged to make or to constitute the current Kenyan constitution. And we went through the thick of that day. That is why we have this constitution. The young people of Kenya should not shy away from advocating for what they think is right. The young people should not feel guilty for being on the road to present petitions to Parliament, because that is their right as enshrined in the Article 31 of the Kenyan Constitution. The right to present public petitions to public authorities. It is their right. And therefore they should not feel guilty, however painful it is, however hard it is, however difficult it becomes. The young people of Kenya should now know that they have the support of members of Parliament like ourselves here. We are no longer going to be intimidated, being accused of, oh, you are funding the Gen Zs, oh, you are inciting the Gen Zs, oh, you are the one who is telling the Gen Zs to do this, because the Gen Zs are people who are schooled. They went to school and we actually gave them free primary education. They are using what we gave them to ask and petition for what they constitutionally deserve. So the young people of Kenya have a right to petition Parliament, have a right to petition State House, have a right to petition any public authority if they feel that it is necessary to do so. I honestly think that the kitchen of all problems in this country is Kenyan Parliament. Because it is Kenyan Parliament that make laws that are oppressive. It is Kenyan Parliament that made the faulty, the unconstitutional, the irregular Finance Bill 2023 that has since now been thrown out by the courts. It is the same Parliament that was attempting to make another irregular, unconstitutional Finance Bill 2024, which the greatest people of Kenya rejected. It is the same Parliament that is coming up with other laws like the livestock bill law, the privatization law that they made, and many other very oppressive laws. So if the Gen Zs feel that it is time for them to petition Parliament, they are welcome. It is within their rights. And we will support them if we so feel they are doing the right thing. So we want to tell the young people of Kenya, we are with you. We will support you. We will stand with you as long as you're making the future of this country better. I would want to be an elderly woman in this country to enjoy what the Gen Zs are fighting today. And therefore, when I have the energy to do so, I will support them, I will fight for them, I will lobby for them, I will advocate for them, because I think they are doing the right thing. Last but not least, I would want to say this. I don't know what is this obsession President Ruto has with the new things. When he came in, he found Linda Mama. He realized Linda Mama, and I don't know how he realized, because he's not a woman. He has never been in a maternity ward. He has never delivered a child. So I don't know what is this obsession he has with removing what he found to bringing what he thinks is new and creating confusion and mess. He found a very good working program called Linda Mama. He collapsed Linda Mama without any public participation and brought some other new packages. Shisha, shui, shu, shui, sha.
Shisha. Linda mpango wa kando.
You know. I don't know what is this obsession he has, that he has now to collapse the old funding model for our universities and bring a new model. And now he has created a whole total confusion. Our children are getting depressed because they don't even know whether they are going to report to school tomorrow. What is this whole obsession of new things? New things? Now, look at where we are right now. We don't have money because we have no operational finance bill. Instead of him finishing old projects, he's now going for new. Everything is new. Everything is new, and he has no money. So where is this obsession coming from? And by the way, I sympathize with my new Minister for Energy. My new Minister for Energy, I really sympathize with him. Bwana Wadai, wacha nikuambie, hiyo kiatu umevalia kimeandikwa Ruto hapo nyuma. Hiyo kiatu itakuuma mbaya sana. Because the president is now hopping from one county to the other, launching new electricity projects. Where will he get the money from? Atarudi kwa hiyo gari pale juu, ataanza kuambia wananchi, huyu Wadai nilimpatia kazi ya kuweka stima, nikaenda nikalaunch stima, lakini yeye hakufanya kazi. Wadai is actually cooked. I sympathize with him. I sympathize with my friend Mheshimiwa Badi, huyu wa treasury. Amepatiwa treasury na ni sufuria ambayo ilikuwa na ilikuwa na stew lakini imelambwa, hakuna. And what the president is doing now is going out promising, oh, I will do this project, I will do this project, na hakuna pesa. Alafu atarudi kwa hiyo ground come to campaign time. Ataambia watu, wewe huyu badi nilimpatia kazi, amelemewa. Buddy's sufuria is rotten.
And they are not
is
selling
roasted.
corruption.
Yeah. So anyway, we are summarizing and saying this. This is not the right time for president to go out launching projects. It is the right time for him to sit down, engage stakeholders, look for solutions for the pressing problems, and look for new ways of raising revenue for this country. He must engage. And there's somebody who asked me when I was coming here, now that you people are complaining things are not right, what solutions are you giving? What alternative solutions are you giving? Now listen to me. There is no way the president will be roaming from one country to the other looking for jobs for our young people. But if you ask him for a database of how many engineers do you have in your country, tell me whether there is any database. If you went and found a request for how many mechatronics engineers do you have, we don't have a national database. What we want as representative for young people is this. The government must put effort to come up with a national database of unemployed young people of this country, county by county. We must be able to know how many teachers are unemployed from the young people, how many doctors are unemployed, how many engineers, how many lawyers. All that database needs to be put in place so that when we are speaking from a point of information. When he's going to negotiate country by country, he has a database. And that is what he should be running with MPs to actually help him to create a national database for the job gap. Number two, we have what we call National Employment Authority. That is an agency that is created by the government under the Ministry of Labor that has failed this country. We need to start thinking of how we can revamp the National Employment Authority so that we can provide a better way of preparing the jobless young people into assimilation into the jobs. How do we do that? By making sure that the National Employment Authority has offices in every county so that people in my county, Kiambu, can actually access the offices at the county level, register themselves, and get to know what opportunities are there. Right now, the only person who tells us that there are jobs being advertised, for example, in other countries, is only the president on top of his car. The young people of Kenya don't know where to go to look for that kind of information. So we need these authorities' offices in every county. Last but not least, all the local employers in this country, the manufacturers, like the people who work under the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, the people who have a capacity to employ our people here in Kenya, we need to engage them so that we know how can we work with them partnership so that they can start absorbing our local people, even if it is on an apprenticeship program or attachment program. For example, if we came up with a program and said, we have 3,000 employers in this country, manufacturers, people who are manufacturing locally, and they have the capacity to employ young people. We give them some tax incentives. A tax intensive that you say, Karibu Mheshimiwa, that if you absorb, for example, 5 young people in your company, you will enjoy this amount of tax subsidy or incentive from the government. So we need to start thinking of how we can partner local manufacturers, local traders, local employers. We give them some tax rebates so that they can be able to accommodate more young people in this country. Otherwise, the issue of joblessness is a very serious issue. The president of Kenya will not sort out the issue of unemployment by bringing Raila Odinga or whoever else in cabinet or in government, because that is an economic problem that will not be sorted out through political remedies. Thank you very much. Mheshimiwa amefika, wacha aseme jambo.
Atuambie vile wenye kuuza ndengu
unataka kuniuliza mimi
bila license watalipa 1 million. Ndengu.
Sorry?
Thanks to the High Court, the road maintenance levy that was increased by 7 shillings has been nullified. until, of course, the case is heard and determined. But there's a new proposal by Kenya on tolling the major roads. What do you say of that?
I just want to comment on that issue. If you want to put toll stations all over, please build the new roads and put the toll stations instead of putting toll stations already in roads already constructed by the taxpayers' money. So that is an issue that is not supposed to even to arise. All the existing roads we are demanding, we are not going to have toll stations on the same.
And why do you want to charge private citizens of Kenya, why do you want to charge them to use public roads that they contributed money and they're even paying through loans? So this is the principle of double jeopardy, where you are charged double. You are charged taxes to build that road, or a loan is taken and you pay for that road, and at the same time, to pass through that road, you have to pay for it. So generally, you should not be charged for using your own road. Which country charges its own citizens who are poor to use a road? Imagine. Honestly speaking, even walking, even moving, he doesn't want us to move. So anakudharau while you are dead and living, na anakudharau while you are also moving. We understand that, Ruto, we know you very well. You don't respect human beings, maybe because of your background. You did botany. We know that when we give you a leaf, you are only concerned about stomata. That is why you want to plant 10 billion trees. You are concerned about the apex of a leaf, the midrib, the stalk of a leaf, the stomata, the chlorophyll, and the pollination of a plant. And grafting. So honestly, respect human beings. So, Mheshimiwa, you can talk about something in 1 minute and then we... Does it still exist? Still there?
Actually, as a member of Special Funds Committee, we are out in the audit report for this financial year to see how Hustler Fund has really performed. But based on, as an economist and also an accountant, in terms of accounting, I can tell you we are going to have an adverse opinion on that fund, because even the modality, the board was not there when it was starting. The fund was unconstitutional. There's nothing much actually to comment on the same, but I thank the Kenyans who took the money.
And by the way, on that note, like I was talking about the newness of things, I don't know what is this issue that President of Kenya has with women of Kenya. I really don't know what the president has with the women of Kenya. I don't know why and what justification he would ever give to the women of Kenya. First of all, for touching on Leader Mama and collapsing it, and then touching on the Women Enterprise Fund. Right now, as we speak, the Women Enterprise Fund is at zero kitty. All the money that was put there in the last year's budget, it was all removed. So the women of Kenya have nothing else other than to dance in the yellow clothing during campaigns. But after campaigns, everything that the women of Kenya had in this government has been scrapped off. And that is why, personally as a woman, I'm a very, very vibrant advocate of women issues. I feel like the Kenya Kwanza government has zero chills for Kenyan women.
Yes. Na tuna reject.
I think we are okay. Tunashukuru sana for your time.
CNN soldier.
Hey, CNN, finally you're here. This is mine.